Okay, this is Andy Lee Graham, and I'm at the dock of Santiago. It's different. There's two docks in San Pedro La Laguna, and I'm at the restaurant Juanita. See if I can show it. Okay, I'm having trouble with the sun here, but this is the restaurant, and I'm going to try to beg them to get me a cup of coffee. I'm a little too early, but I just was talking to one of the capitans of the boats going to what do you call it, Santiago, and I wanted to go to there's a little hospital over there where I've used a couple times to do x-rays, and there's also so it's like, he says it's like a 10Q, probably 5Q trip from Santiago, but there's a hospital over there, and they had American nurses. So I'm going to talk today about do not retire abroad. I don't want you to retire abroad. Do not retire abroad. Let's see if I can get this thing set up right, not break it. You can't push down on these things or they break. Okay, oh, it's not going to show up very good. Okay, I'm in a restaurant trying to beg them for a cup of coffee. And I'm Andy Lee Graham, and I've lived in 114 countries. Okay, and I'm going to talk about expats. And I've learned something over the last few years. I'm having a lot of problems with the sun. I'll turn it over here so that we have a better view of the restaurant and not so much lighting in the thing. Okay. Always difficult to arrange the light. Okay. That's why these movie guys have these big panels, and they got these white things that block the thing and take shadows off. But I'm Andy Lee Graham, and I've lived in 114 countries. And in 25 years of nonstop thing, I don't have a house inside the United States. I came from the United States. But what I want to talk about is I don't want you to retire abroad. I really, everybody thinks that because I'm doing something that I want everybody to do it, and I would like them to do what I do, but I don't want them to do what they normally do. And it's been painful when I learned that all these different people are going abroad for many, many reasons that are different than me. Try to get this thing down just a little. I just bought a new one. I don't want to break it. See, if you just push down on the legs, it'll break these. It's a selfie stick with a tripod on the bottom. Really a great thing to use if you want to make videos. But I do not live abroad. If I lived abroad, I would stay in one location. I am kind of living abroad in a different way, right? So I've lived in 114 countries. Hey, yo quiero café. Ahorita. Oh, they're saying now. Okay. Hola. Okay, I do not live abroad. I don't want you to live abroad. Why don't I want you to live abroad? I find that people have been living abroad for all the wrong reasons. And I've stayed enough time now on Lake Atalan and even Africa or different places, Thailand. I've lived probably, I don't know, say a year or two in Thailand. I've lived probably half a year in the Philippines. I've lived probably a year in Togo, West Africa, and I've probably lived at least a year or a year and a half on Lake Atalan because I just keep coming back because of it's one of the best places to get a very economical place to do a business, okay? You can get a hotel, you can get a place to live that's in one of the best climates on the planet, and it's actually very girl-friendly for anybody under 30. That's not me. It's not very girl-friendly at all for me. But I'm a writer that travels. I'm a journalist that travels. I'm a travel journalist that's really, I'm not a travel writer. A travel writer is a person, 99.99% of them, only 1 in 1,000 is telling the truth. The other are writing an advertisement for a hotel or a tour company or for their newspaper, and they're trying to sell advertising. Okay, that's not me. I'm just a guy that basically travels for 25 years. I've always kept moving. That's why I say I don't live abroad. People that live in one location are living there. And I even made up my own little rules on my blog one time that I said anybody that stays in one location longer than 3 months is living there. Because I have people that have lived in Lake Catalan for 20 years and said they traveled longer than me. I said, no, you lived in one location for 20 years. If they haven't gone to at least 10 or 15 countries, they definitely are not a traveler, okay? But there's different reasons. The number one reason why I really don't want you to live abroad is because you're angry. I'm going to say it again. As far as I can see, close to 85% of the people that move abroad are angry. And this is not a good reason to live abroad, okay? It's the worst possible reason because you have these psychological, emotional, physical, you have all these reasons, these traumas that you are trying to solve. And when you're just angry at a country, it's kind of silly, okay? The United States by far, or Europe, Western Europe, is one of the best qualities of life on the planet. I can't hardly even find I've been walking around trying to find a quiet place this morning to make a video. The noise and the tuk-tuks and the lack of legal system is thing. When you don't have, the reason why there's 200 normal countries is because there's no legal, there's no rule of law. And a lot of people like this. I remember this guy in Piedra de Cuesta, Mexico. He said, yeah, you Americans come down here and complain about the corruption. And the next thing you know, 1 year later, you're doing it better than us. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham. Okay, the reason why, I'm going to just give some quick reasons so that you're angry at your employer. You think that the United States is horrible because you was traumatized by your employer. You're angry at your wife. That's a really huge one. You're angry at your husband. You think that the girls inside in another country are going to be better. You're going to think, yeah, they're going to be simpler. I have a lot of problem because there's no education in most of the 200 normal countries. I don't really want to talk to a 6th grade education. But it does make it nice. I've dated a couple college professors and attorneys because they educate themselves right out of I dated a lawyer in Ecuador, and then I dated a college professor, biology college professor in Argentina. But they're alcoholic or drug addicts. Alcoholic or drug addict, no necesito azúcar, solo café, por favor. ¿Cómo estás?
Bien, gracias.
Me llamo Alish.
Mucho gusto.
Okay. But alcoholic and drugs, a lot of people are wanting to go to countries. Like if you read in the expat retire abroad thing, they always have like one category on whether you can smoke dope or not. So there's a lot of people looking to do drugs and smoke dope, and that's one of the big reasons. I checked out at a library one time I was going to write a book about retiring abroad, and I realized I couldn't really do it. Okay, I wrote a whole book guidebook on Vilcabamba, Ecuador, and I didn't publish it because I didn't want anybody that lived there to ever write me or anybody that wanted to live there, because that's the epicenter of I hate the United States, okay, as is Lake Catalan in a lot of ways. Okay, but alcoholism and drugs, a lot of people want to go to countries where they think they can get cheap drugs, okay, or they can get cheap girls, they can buy girls. A geographical cure is when an alcoholic thinks that if they leave their home. So a lot of people want to leave their family and their thing. Like a person that really wants to escape their family isn't the best family person. They're not really a Christian. That's why I don't really believe that people that are moving to the United States only for money is a good idea. Okay, when they immigrate to the United States only for money, it's kind of a greedy type of way to move, right? They leave their family, and I have a lot of people with 5 kids wanting me to help them to go to the United States. I said, no, I first realized that the first year I was traveling, these people wanted me to help them get a job in the United States. No problem. I said, wait a minute, you got 4 kids. I'm not going to help you. There are people that are angry enough that actually believe that the legal system in other countries is better than the United States. Absolutely insane. There is no law in these other countries, and that's why they like it. They don't quite understand that what they want is no legal system so they can be a criminal, okay? Um, there's this hippie hate. Hippie hate is like a new age, blah, blah, blah. Um, they think that United States has got more pollution than here. The pollution here, if the industry is any of the industry has no rules at all. Okay, but I'm going to break this down into percentages of who is living abroad. But I don't want you to live abroad. Why? Because you're angry, and I don't want to talk to you. Okay, I didn't leave because I was angry at the United States. I was being very successful. I had like three major reasons. Okay, hold on. Okay, 70% of people, in my opinion, now there's no way to collect these statistics. This is me observing people for 25 years, okay? And in 114 countries, and I've got a great geopolitical understanding of the situation. Okay, 70% are angry. They're unwanted by the United States. They don't fit into the United States. Expats are the wanted, the unwanted, and the hermits, okay? There are hermits that go to like Arabic countries or Dubai or China or places like this where they can't talk to anybody and they love it because they hate people. They're misanthropes. They said Paul Thoreau that wrote the Dark Star Safari might have been considered a person that hated people. And I'm starting to hate people because I hate expats. I really don't like expats. They're always angry. Okay, they're unwanted by the United States. They don't fit in the United States. They want to go to some place where they're loved. And because they come here and they're rich, everybody loves them, right? 10% are actually wanted by the law. They're unwanted and they leave and they're wanted by the law. So 10% are actually wanted by the law. And I'm going to break this down even further as I go on. 15 are sort of accidentally in love. They go on vacation, they fall in love with somebody, and they move abroad. And that kind of fits into me a little bit because I met Greta Darling in Piedecuesta, and I thought, man, the girls that I'm meeting in Acapulco, the travelers, not the locals, the travelers were so much better than what I was dating in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Okay, there's 3% that are accidentally going abroad because they got a job or work or something, and then I'm going to break down a bunch of these categories below this too. A lot of them, 1% fall for scam sites. There's real estate scam sites and there's all sorts of scam sites. 1% go abroad to hide money. There's a lot of people that, like right now, in a way, all the multinational companies are putting their money offshore. Okay, and because of the corporate taxes are different abroad, and the multinationals are companies like Exxon and Apple and Amazon. These guys, they care about the money more than they care about the country, right? Okay, 5% are Social Security things. These Social Security people are kind of like they're along with the porn people and the economic arbitrage. There's three kind of groups. People on Social Security disability have all the time in the world, so they end up watching all these videos on YouTube or reading something, and then they want to go live in a place where they suddenly realize that they can live. They can be rich on their $1,000, say $500 a month. My friend Doug Adams that died last year was on Social Security disability for like 40 years. I know a guy I know 2 or 3 people over in Pana. I can't say their names, but there's one kind of crazy. We call it crazy something. But when you see somebody that is, say, younger than 40, and they're living in another country, and they don't seem to have anything, they're either a trust fund child, meaning that their parents are basically paying them a remittance to stay away, and they got a monthly fee, but that's very rare. But a lot of them are on Social Security disability. Okay, very, very common. And it's kind of a scam in the United States too. And then you got the 1% curious. Okay, the curious and the explorers. Now I'm going to break out some people underneath the different categories. So this, I just told you the 70% are the angry. I'll try to tell you again. They're angry at their employer. They're angry at their wife. They got a divorce and they think all women are assholes. They're angry at their husband because they got a lot of, like right here, we got a lot of old slags. But we had a word for them when I sewed I sewed cars when I broke my femur, and when I was a kid, we called them sleds, old women sleds. Okay, alcoholism, drugs, geographical cure, meaning that they can't stay sober at home, they can't get off of drugs at home, so they're going to go to someplace else. But they want to really go to someplace where they can drink. I'll never forget this woman. She was starting an alcohol counseling place in Iquitos, Peru, and she says, "This is a great place to get sober." I said, "You crazy? This is a great place to be drunk. Like Atalan's the greatest place on the planet to be drunk because you almost can't get arrested for being. You can go sleep in the street. You're not going to drive a car, so you're not going to get arrested. You're not going to lose your job. You're not going to get arrested. It's a great place to stay drunk all the time." And I used to tell people about I'm a recovering alcoholic, haven't drank for 37 years. But the problem is this. People come down here, they instantly start drinking. Okay? Because just because I cannot drink here doesn't mean you can stop drinking here. Do not come here if you're alcoholic or a drug addict. It's the wrong place. Okay, so 70% of these people are hippie haters. There's hippie, let's see, what is that word? It's not anachronism, it's art. I'll think of the word, but there's anarchists. There's these anarchy people that think anarchy, they come abroad because they hate the world, right? Any country is better. There's people that just think any country is better than the United States, which is just horseshit, okay? Okay, but the number 10% of the people are wanted by the law. I have a lot of people that have written me for consulting or called, they paid for consulting for me. Most of the time, they're paying for consulting. They want to know if they can escape the law and they can live, and if they can live off the grid. And I explain to them they can, and I really help them, because if they get captured in this country, it's not going to be a pretty picture. If you break the law in Guatemala, Costa Rica, or Thailand or something, they might, in Mexico, they just make you disappear. They dig a hole and boom, kill you. They were killing a lot of people. They killed like 60 people in Sosu, Dominican Republic. Because this is a whoremonger place, and it's a place where the criminals come. Okay, the reasons why they're wanted by the law is normally child support. They haven't paid their taxes. They got arrested for pedophile. I remember this guy that owned the here in Lake in San Pedro. He owned the burrito shack or something, and he got arrested here. It was kind of interesting. He lived here illegally for 15 years. He got arrested by the federales, or whatever you call these people. And he jumped off the thing into the water. But then he goes back to Florida. He finds out that he's only got to serve 60 days in jail. And then he comes back, and so for 15 years he lived illegally. Pretty funny. But there's lots of legal issues why people do. They get scared and they leave the country. Okay, 15% are love, okay, which is not a bad reason, okay. Probably 7% or 8%. I mean, in Thailand and the Philippines and Southeast Asia, you're getting whoremongers and see you got this group of people that get prostitutes mixed up with love. And in Thailand, if you meet somebody that's married a Thai girl, it's got about a 90% chance that she was a prostitute. Okay, but amiga. Por favor, la bulla. No empathy at all. Okay. Okay. Child support, pedophile. But they meet porn sites, and then they meet on vacation. The best way is you accidentally meet somebody on vacation. So I went on vacation for 6 weeks, and I met Argentina girl and a Norwegian girl, and that was kind of one of the reasons what's interesting is how many people travel to learn a language, then fall in love with the language teacher. I mean, I don't know how many. I can name 3 people that fell in love with their language teacher. Then the porn problem. The porn thing is a confusion. That's a really highly dysfunctional person that right now, the Philippines used to be full of military guys that came back to where they was in the military. And there's a lot of people that are in the military and then get transferred abroad, and then they like the country, so they move back. Okay, and but then you have the number 3, the 3% are accidentally work or school. There's people that go abroad so they want to go volunteer so they can. A lot of doctors do this. They'll go volunteer abroad and then they will put this on their resume to get into university to become a doctor or a lawyer, and it looks good on their CVC. And so they're resume packers. Okay, you also have missionaries that go abroad and then they realize that they can live abroad cheaper and then they can in the United States. They like to be in control and power. I mean, missionaries are about power. Okay, somebody sends you there for a job. Yeah, but I don't know what to do with the gap year people. There's people in Israel after army, and there's British people that go on gap year. And it's in some cultures like Australia, whatever. And then there's a certain one of these people that just stay over, right? A journalist like Hemingway was a journalist, and a lot of journalists go live abroad because they like the quality of life better. Writers, photographers, missionary and aid organizations. A lot of them come out with noble ideas, but they realize they can get rich being a missionary or an aid worker. Aid workers is probably 70% of the people that work abroad. People that are younger than, say, 65, say they're 35 or something, they start some aid organization and they make money by donations. This is like 70% of the ways to make money. The other probably 10% is people start bars or restaurants. It's a lot easier to do. 1% move abroad because of scam sites. International lying, real estate scams. Ecuador is just full of people that got scammed into moving there. Absolutely. Panama, Ecuador, Portugal, these are countries where people move because of a real estate scam. They act like Costa Rica is just full of crazy people that hate their houses. You don't realize you're moving languages and you're moving cultures. This is not the same as moving from Ohio to Indiana. A lot of people get conned in by the pretty pictures. They see so many videos of just everything's great, everything's paradise, and that's crap. There's a company like Nomad Capital. He's always acting like he can go hide your money. And I had a girlfriend last year. She says, I want to get 2 more new passports. I go, why? To get a passport, you're signing up to pay taxes in another country. Okay, I said, don't sign up to pay taxes in another country. You have 5 passports from 5 different countries. All you're doing is getting a paperwork thing. And when you get a passport, they know exactly where you're going to stay, so that basically they can come seize you. Some of this is just absolutely stupid. 1% come to hide money. I'm going to tell you some places. They sell passports. Okay, you can buy passports for $10,000 to $50,000, $100,000. Costa Rica sells passports. Guatemala doesn't sign it, but it's a great place where you can hide money in Guatemala. Caribbean islands, Nevis, Bahamas, Cyprus. These are places where people hide money. Singapore. They go to these places to take their money and invest it. See, what you can do in Costa Rica is you can get a passport if you invest, I don't know, say $40,000. Then they go down and invest it in Panama in dollars. Bunch of stuff. Okay, there's number 5% do the Social Security disability, or they got so little income. Like right now, I'm fitting into this because I only have about $450 a month in Social Security. I have about $100 right now on Patreon. If you want to help me, because I'm not going to take advertising money ever. I also have a link I just put in there for, if you go to my YouTube channel, main link, and in the description. There's some links. One of them's for buy me a cup of coffee. I just signed that up today. I just put it today. But 5% are 5% are Social Security. Then there's economic arbitrage, and this is what I did. I realized that I could two different things. I recognized that I could have higher education love situations. I could date a higher. I could date Norwegian girls, Swedish girls, but I also realized that I could live in 200 normal countries on about, say, $5 to $10 a day in the hotel, $300 a month, and I could try to make money on the internet. So I decided that I would take off and try to make money on the internet remotely. So I was one of the first remote workers, and I have traveled and made money by using the internet for 25 years. Okay. You also have this porn person, right? And I don't know what to say with these guys. These guys are creepy. Okay. They're in the Philippines all over the place. You have a lot of military guys that go to the Philippines to upgrade their disability. They take their disability from, say, 40% up to 100% because it's all a bunch of. And then you got the 1% like me. We're curious and we're explorers. So philosophy of curiosity and explorers. And that's 1% of the population. And these are the people, it's probably less than 1%, maybe 1 in 1,000 people will actually go to 10, 20, 30, 40 countries. Most of these people go back home and live. Very few, maybe 1 in 10,000 are perpetual travelers like me. The digital nomads are, it's just a label, it's just hokey. But I'm here and you're not. I don't want you to live abroad. Why? Because you're angry. I don't want to be with you. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to think that 80% of the people are lazy. They don't want to work. When I first started traveling, I worked like 12 hours a day on my website because I was determined not to return to USA. I was determined to make money using the internet. So I have never made websites really. I did trade for websites, but hit that subscribe button, that bell. I appreciate it. But anybody that really has been following along for a long time, I have a link in the thing called Patreon where you can pay. You can have like a reoccurring $5 a month or $25 or $100 or whatever you believe it's worth to have somebody that honestly tells you the situation on the planet. I'm going to try to go to Tanzania and I'm going to go around the coast of, the tip of Africa and I get another 20 countries. But I'm probably going to go to Costa Rica for a couple months. Not Costa Rica, I'm wrong. I went to Costa Rica already. I'm going to go to Cuba. And if you want to hear about Cuba, but anybody that starts, anybody that is a Patreon thing can always ask questions, and I'll be very happy to make videos for you. I love actually answering questions. I used to always do the Ask Andy thing. This all kind of died though because the international travels went from about say there was 10 people abroad before COVID. Now there's 1, so 90% drop. That's how few people are traveling internationally. And they're all afraid because of COVID. Okay, I'm here and you're not. Why not? Lake Atitlan, Guatemala, one of the best climates on the planet and one of the most economical places to live. The internet here is kind of horrible right now. I can't believe how bad it is. They've oversold all the internet. There's not enough bandwidth here. It's really sad. Okay, Andy Lee Graham. My sister's coming on February 3rd, 2024, so I'm very excited. Then I can leave. I'm going to go to the beach, get some minerals through the salt water.